All right, so in this video, I'm going to show you how to make a segmented bar graph. We'll take this data that we've gathered. So we have 200 adults shopping at a supermarket. We're asked about their education and whether or not they were a smoker. So we can see we have one variable, smoking status, and level of education here. Okay, and we're asked to create a segmented bar graph comparing education level among smokers and non-smokers. So what we're going to look at is we're going to look at smokers and non-smokers, okay? And the first thing that you got to do is figure out, right, what conditional probabilities we've got to try to figure out here. So first step is to compute the conditional distributions of the interested variable. We are looking at smoking status. So we're going to look at these columns here, all right? So to compute those conditional distributions, right, I'm going to take this 32 and divide it by 50, all right, and multiply by 100. That ends up with 64%. Now, again, how did I compute that, right? We wanted the conditional probability, so 32 out of the 50. And then we multiplied by 100. And I'm going to continue that process and figure out the remaining conditional probabilities here. So this one's going to be 10%, 26%. We then have to do that for the non-smoking column as well. So, but that one, right, we're going to have to take the 61 and divide by the 150. You're going to have to do a little bit of rounding in this case. Usually to the nearest whole percent is good enough for a segmented bar graph. So I got 41% there, 11 and 48. So now that we've computed our conditional distributions, what we have to do now is go to step 2 and actually create and plot our percentages. So to do that, I'm going to use a ruler and I'm going to use the centimeter side. All right. So let's draw the axes here. So we got our axes, and in this case we're going to work with smoker, non-smoker. So I'm going to need 2 bars. Now I'm going to make my bars 10 centimeters long. The reason why is because 10 centimeters, right? 10 centimeters is going to be equivalent to 100%. Okay, or in other words, right, doing a little bit of conversion, 100 millimeters equals 100% then, right? Because that's what we have here. 0 to 10 is 100 millimeters. Therefore, 1 millimeter equals 1%. So nice, easy computations when we're marking off our conditional distributions. So we have our 2 bars, 100%, 0%, and just for good measure, I'll mark off the 50%. You need at least 2 percentages so that we can see and gauge what they are. We have 2 groups that we're looking at again, smoker, non-smoker. So smoker and non-smoker. Now, I will emphasize that you don't have to do it to 10 centimeters. You could do the conversion in different ways too, depending on the space that you need. However, 10 centimeters for me works out very nicely and is very convenient in conversions. So now what we got to do is we got to take this percentage and apply it to the smokers here. So we've got high school education. So I'm also going to make a little key here. And they're 64. So I line it up here. Remember, each millimeter is 1%. So that's 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. And we got a 64 right here. And we're going to make blue our high school group. So I'm going to color that blue. The next group we see here is the 10%. Right? Now, this is where people will make the most common mistake here. They're going to think that they're going to start at 0 and go to 10%, and that's where they would mark it. That's actually wrong. This is cumulative. So we got to actually add 10% from that 64. Now, you could add 64 plus 10 to get a 74, or you could move the ruler so that 0 lines up where your new mark was, or your latest mark was, and go 10% from there. So 10%. Now that was the 2-year college group, so 2-year college. And we'll make them orange. Now we do have the final group, which is 4 or more years of college. And we'll make them green. Now, let's just double check. Should be about 26%. We can see, all right, that looks pretty close to 26. Remember, sometimes thickness of the pen distorts it a little bit. So we're a little bit off, but I think we're okay. We're reasonably there. We're gonna have a little bit of error when we're doing things by hand. Now we have the smoker conditional probabilities plotted. Now we have to plot the non-smoker conditional probabilities. So again, I'm going to take my ruler, right, line it up at 0 here, 10, 20, 30, 40. We've got to do 41. So there's 41. That's the high school group. The 2-year college group is at 11%. So I could do 52, right? Because remember, it's cumulative. The common mistake is that someone's going to mark off the 11 here. Remember, they don't overlap. We don't want these to overlap. So 41 plus 11 is 52. There's our 2-year college group. And then we have the last group, which is 4-year college groups at 48%. I'm just going to double check. Does it look to be reasonably 48? So 0, 10, 20, 30, 40. Looks to be about 48 there. And then now I'm going to color in that group. So that's how we make a segmented bar graph.